How many of you never met Deb? I'm sorry. She was a wonderful person. I'm probably a little bit prejudiced. I only knew her for 64 years. And but I want to give you a little bit for those of you who did not know Deb. I was 7 years old when I first met her, and we lived one house. There was one house in between her house and my house. I lived at 1100 Jones Road, and she lived at 1108 Jones Road. So I didn't marry the girl next door. I married the girl next door. And the neighbors said that there was a path going between our two houses once we started dating. So but I thought I'd give you a little bit of the essence of Deb. And this for those of you who know Deb, probably some of you have heard this story before, but we were on a tour of Southwest Missouri and North Arkansas. And I was at a school doing a high school presentation. And Deb had heard my stories hundreds of times and really didn't want to sit through another session. So she sat out in the hallway with her drawing pad, which she always had with her, doing her drawings. And when I finished, I went out and I said, well, how'd it go? She said, well, I got to tell you. She said there was a 16-year-old girl that came, and she said she was walking down the hallway and tears were just running down her face. And I said, what was the matter? She said, well, she just came up to me and she just started talking. And I said, well, what was she talking about? She said, well, she told me she was being abused by her father and her grandfather. Mm-hmm. And so Deb says, well, honey, you know, I have to tell once you've told me this, I'm obligated to tell the school. And so the girl shook her head and said yes, and tears. Now both of them are crying. And so she went to the office and told them, and the counselor said, I knew something was wrong with that girl. I just couldn't figure out what. So she said, thank you. They thanked Deb for telling her. And so we'd been out on the road for a while, and there was a little small town, and there was a laundromat in this town. So we needed to do some laundry. So we go in and we're doing laundry. And who walks in? This 16-year-old girl. And Deb started talking to her for another hour or so. She's talking to her. I'm doing the laundry because they're talking, which I was a good husband. I could do those things. And so she they keep talking, and it wasn't long before Deb led her to the Lord. And that was Deb. She never met a stranger. We'd be in the grocery store, and I'm standing there with the cart, and the person behind Deb, all of a sudden they begin a conversation. They're talking. She never met a stranger anyplace. Now, to get up in front of a group like this, she did not want to do that. But to sit around the dinner table with you, she was an excellent storyteller. But she was a wonderful story listener. And she was a wonderful artist. In fact, Jean Hatfield has on a T-shirt that Deb designed that T-shirt for our national conference that was here in Kansas City in 1998. Yeah, a few years ago. So, yeah. So she was, I just wanted to share with you, for those of you who did not know her, Christine.
Is that the one that Joyce showed in her story, one that Deb did?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Joyce. It was a wonderful story. Becca, this is my granddaughter, Rebecca. If you don't know her, she was first started telling stories when she was 3 years old. She was actually written up in our national the Storytelling magazine. Before it was a magazine, it was a newsletter. And she was written up in the newsletter as the youngest storyteller in America at 3 years old. We were at Smithville at a Storytime Festival. Remember?
Yeah.
We were at Storytime Festival at Smithville, and she said, Grandpa, I want to tell the story. I said, what do you want to tell? She said, Goldilocks and Three Bears. I said, okay. Got her out on the stage, the whole crowd of people there at the festival. Hand her a mic. She starts in on Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Halfway through, the mic went dead. Walked out and gave her another mic, and she never missed a beat. So Rebecca's going to share with us about her grandma.
Thanks, Grandpa. Yeah, my name is Becca Canales, and fun fact about me, because I know that's why you're all here. Oh, sorry. There you go. Hello. I love vanilla scented everything, like to the point that it's weird. My best friend, it is, it really is. My best friend and former roommate, she put a moratorium on vanilla scented anything after, perfume, hand sanitizer, trash bags. One day she walks in and I have that carpet stuff, that makes the carpet smell good. And she says, I'm leaving until it doesn't smell like cake, and slams the door. I don't know why. I thought that sounded good to me. And I know it's kind of weird, but it's because I grew up really spoiled. I grew up surrounded by great storytellers, and I grew up with a lot of evenings just like this one, sitting next to my grandma. She'd be drawing, as you've heard, and she often wore a big scarf or poncho. And so if you're a little cold, you can cuddle up next to grandma. You can listen to the story. You can watch who she's drawing. And those were some really special times. Amazing storytellers. I grew up with amazing storytellers. One of those was Jackie Torrance, and she told a story that I do not remember one piece of, but it was about a relative who loved the smell of vanilla. Do you remember this story?
Yes.
Or Joyce, do you remember this?
Yes.
You'll have to tell me it afterwards, because I don't remember it at all. But I remember going home, and it was vanilla extract that her relative of some sort had put on. And so I put some on my wrist, like she told in the story, and I put some behind my ears, like she told in the story. And I did smell great. And I've loved it ever since. I think about that a lot. I think about the way that families and stories are so similar. I think about the ways that they get us through hard times. I think about the ways that they teach us things. And I think about the way that whether they're just one little memory, one little smell, or whether you know a lot about them, they can make a big impact in your life. So for all of you who knew her very well, for all of you who are just learning about her tonight, for maybe you have one or two memories, thank you for being here. And for all the wonderful storytellers tonight, thank you for sharing your stories. And thank you for spoiling my kids, my niece, like I was spoiled. Thanks.
Zach, you want to add anything to that? I didn't think so.
He's here. Yeah.
How about you, Caden? You want to say anything about grandma?
I'm good.
Okay.
Remind people about the food.
Oh, yeah, we do have food, snacks back here, water. So, again, let me just dovetail on to what Becca said. Thank you all for coming. Deb would have loved this. She really would have. So,
Yeah, she does.
yeah, she does. She does.
Listening.
She is. She is.